Hey family, in this video I'm going to be interviewing my good bro, the conscious bro, J-Mo, Jordan Maurice, Jomo, Jor, J, J-Mo,
Yo,
Jordan Maurice Bowditch. And this is anti-game, y'all. The best game when you're dating. We're going to get real and into this shit. The best game, I don't know who came up with this, but we were riffing about this for years, is actually anti-game.
Yeah.
And so you want to watch this or listen to this if you are a human with genitals.
There you go.
So
Or not genitals.
Yeah.
I think there's value for anyone.
That's true. This is really about social magnetism and all the layers of that. And we're going to riff on that a lot. But for those of you that don't know, and if you don't know, then you must be new here. So welcome. Jordan and I are co-founders of Mystic Misfit. And he's one of my best friends, if not my best friend, along with his actual brother, Ryan. And we've lived a lot of life together.
We have.
Like a ton of life together.
Yeah, it's really awesome to have you here in Austin, bro.
It's good to be here.
Yeah.
So, let's do a classic check-in. How
Yeah.
you feeling there, brother?
Man, what is most present for me is I love my life so much right now. I'm loving living in Austin. Just gets better and better. Moving into a new place on the east side, such a cool home, and it's an upgrade. Like every year of my life is a notable upgrade. It only continues to get better. And it's like a part of me feels like, oh, at some point it can't, or maybe I don't even deserve it, or how.
Classic resistance.
But as long as I just stay in my purpose and my flow, surrounded by amazing people like you and many others, I'm just it's inevitable. And my connection with my partner, my lady Alexa, is better than ever. And the last thing I'll share on this is my ruthless commitment to self-care has so notably impacted my life over the past couple months. And it's funny because you've been a proponent of this for years. When we lived together at Mystic Manor and Encinitas, I used to give you and Ryan shit. I'd be like, you guys got to fucking do more. You know,
Classic.
You wake up and you just self-care for a few hours while I'm over here manically doing away, is me saying back then. And now I'm really starting to understand that and feel it and experience the fruits of that non-labor that is labor, but flow-inducing labor.
Bingo. It's subtle. I mean, I don't even think it's labor. I don't even want to call it labor because it's the not doing that. It's like emptying your cup so you can fill it back up. It's the classic. So do you want to draw a card ski there and share?
Yeah.
We got a fresh little deck over here.
We got a Conscious AF Deco Oracle cards. I'm going to let my fingers / heart tell me which one to pull. There it is.
Just feel that.
Yeah.
You're witnessing how to be a conscious bro right now. I want you to see this.
My cock chakra, aka Kakra. Oh, that's a cool one. All right, so this is like a rainbow cosmos with somebody jumping into water, and there's a splash, and just the feet are coming out. It says jump in. Andromedan energy. Do you know that word?
Andromedan.
You know
Andromedan,
that?
yeah. It's
Andromedan
a star
energy.
system.
Okay. Adventure, say yes to change. Awesome.
Just show the good people.
Yeah.
Any Andromedans watching? Anyone from the Andromedan system? I know somebody on here is galactic as fuck and
This
is
is
about
from this deck of cards, the Starseed Oracle. Super cool. Yeah, to me, quickly, what that means is already what I'm doing and just more of it. I have some international travel and adventures on the horizon for this year, which is exciting because I haven't been doing that very much of late. And just generally speaking in my life, not a whole lot of international travel, relatively speaking, certainly compared to you, bro. And just being so open to shifting and changing and not being dogmatic with any sort of trajectory while also being committed to my path. So it's this kind of dance of being really grounded in what I believe is my purpose and open to the universe, God, being like, nope, we're turning right on this one.
Yeah. Well said. I think what I heard you just say is you're balancing your masculine and feminine sides and polarities.
You heard correctly.
That sounded pretty accurate. Let's see what we got here. This deck definitely has really dope artwork. If you have your Oracle deck, draw along with us. Child of the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you.
I pulled that yesterday, bro.
Really?
Sure
Okay,
did.
we must be soulmates. Yeah, this one's really soulmates. Yeah, I was just telling you on my way in. I took an entire day to just play, be in nature, just bro out by myself with the person I love the most, which is myself. So it's like, you know, it's like Gandalf. I don't know which Hobbit movie or Lord of the Rings, but it's like he's getting pissed with the Fellowship, and he's like, I've had enough of this. I'm gonna go spend some time with someone I care for very much. And they're like, who's that? And he's like, myself.
He taps his pipe, it's high AF, and
yeah, classic Gandalf maneuver. Yeah, that's how I feel. A lot of play, inner child, being back in Texas for extended period of time, but also feeling the road calling. And
Rolling Stone can't hold you down.
I know, but at the same time, like I desire to have longer stints in places. Like that's something I learned last year is like no more 2 weeks on, 2 weeks travel. They're like, I need at least a month to let my nervous system and creativity turn on fully. So
feel that.
That's been a hard one lesson, but anyway, let's cut the crap. Let's cut this conscious crap and get down to business. Shout out to JP. I love that phrase. It so works great. Every time, and it's so good. It's so good. Well, let's start with the basics because I know there's people watching the stream, but I can already feel if this one is going to be a crowd favorite,
a heater.
Because according to my demographics, it's like 60-40, sometimes even 70-30 women, men. So here we go. First off, I just want to let's establish some definitions here.
Cool.
Jordan, what the fuck is game to you? What does that mean?
Well, when I hear the word game, like the first thing that comes to mind is Neil Strauss, The Game, the book, iconic, documents his journey of getting deep into the pickup artistry community. And a very edutaining book, like highly recommend it. Very fun read, very engaged. Like Neil Strauss is just an incredible author, and he's a participant journalist, right? So he's like in the thick of it fully, which is really cool perspective. And so when I hear game, that comes to mind, and also like unconsciousness, manipulation, negative shadow. I think of like cheesy, sleazy guys sitting in a bar trying to take advantage of women. That's what comes up when I hear the word game.
I think I share a lot of that, and I've actually not read Neil Strauss's book. I've thumbed through it and hung around people who worship it, so I think I got a transmission. But this is the idea, and this is like dating is probably the most obvious place it shows up, but it's something I actually geek out on as a former gamer. And that's game theory. And game theory is not even about dating, although it's probably the most obvious one. But if we're two entities, A and B, and there's resource X, and we want to get it, move it, trade it, there's a whole list of moves and psychological logic that goes into that. It's called game theory, right? And so that's probably too heady for this conversation, but
I like that though.
It's worth bringing that in, because when I think of it, I think of that, and like whether it's like fucking rock paper scissors, chess, or like when I was younger, like massive 10-hour strategy game benders. Like this is my wheelhouse. So
and it's applicable to this for sure. That model, I would say, and to really extrapolate it out, if I'm pondering on game for a hot second, like life is a game.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all pressing buttons and trying to get what we want, and hopefully we're doing that with some level of consciousness and love and light in our hearts.
That's right. Spoken like a true conscious bro. So, okay, let's go into pickup artists. What the hell is that? For people that don't know, PUAs.
Yeah, the old PUAs.
The PUA.
The first time I was like, what the fuck is a PUA? That sounds just really...
Sounds like shit.
It sounds like shit. It sounds like poop.
Turns out some of them are.
Yeah, right? So pickup artists, again, kind of what I spoke to before, I imagine like a cheesy, sleazy guy who leverages these tactics to pick up on women, and he relies on those, and I'm using he because this is very much like a man thing to pick up women. That's the culture. Relies on those because he cannot tap into like the richness and authenticity of himself and leverage his own energy and just show up so fully present and in flow that will sort of win the woman, like woo her. And so leverages these things that are sort of tried and true because a lot of people have done it, and there's a lot of deep psychology at play here. And he'll get that prize oftentimes. Like that's why they do it, because they know it works. And at the end of it, that's usually an empty lose-lose relationship. Both parties maybe get a short win. Dog's getting into it. Come on now. Short win, but it will feel like a loss.
Come on now.
They feel the energy.
I'm feeling it.
It's emotions, energy and motion.
Yes, sir. Feel it, Biggie.
But yeah, that's what comes up for me when I think of pickup artists. Is like that sort of like, I feel just like
Yeah. And I think you just perfectly defined anti-game, which is leveraging and resourcing your own energy and being authentic, which is so like and like obvious. And having studied it a little bit myself when I was naive and younger and like lacked true confidence just because I hadn't had enough life experience, like I also can have compassion for these guys because, you know, on the one end, it's like the really like maybe psychopathic tendency leaning, like dark side of it. You know, there's the dark triad, sociopath, psychopath, and I forget the third one. Narcissist, yeah, the dark triad of traits. And quick riff, and this is informed a lot by our boy Elliot Hulse and Jordan Peterson, but the dark triad traits, obviously like someone who's a full psychopath, sociopath, or a narcissist and is manipulating and hurting people, like it's fucked. We all know what that feels like because we've all been in some kind of way with them. And those traits have been selected for by evolution. And they highly equip someone, especially a man historically, to kill, hunt, and protect the tribe. And without those traits, you're kind of fucked because you can't turn off emotion in an intense situation, a survival situation. So there's all this science that goes into why that we even see that in humans. Now that being said, leveraging that to, you know, pick up a girl or sleep with a girl at a bar who's unwittingly, you know, going into these behavioral triggers. And I should say here too, and this is one of those things that might offend a lot of people, but it's 50-50. Like the women don't need to study it. They're using their instinct. And there's plenty of like, I'm sure, female versions of this, but they're receiving these game tactics. And for those of you who are lost right now, I think a lot of people know what we're talking about, but you know, these are like pickup lines on steroids, because pickup lines is just one level. There's like openings, closings, negging, like using a group of guys or going up against a group of girls. Like it's literally a science. And I'm curious if you've had like your own experiences with game in the past, and like walk me through a scenario, because I will say for the record here on the revolution. Jordan is one of the people in the past, and you've grown up a lot, as have I, that I looked up to and was like maybe judging at one point, where I was like, damn, boys got game.
Thank you. Game recognized game.
Yeah, well.
So I'll start with a little bit of like context of where I come from in a lot of ways and like what's brought me through this journey into this moment. I've lived with a lot of different people. Like I've lived in 2 different worlds growing up that were very different. Ohio, Midwest, Southern California, different like parents and like aunts, uncles, and even friends. So I had sort of a social chameleon of sorts. So adapting and being really in tune with like social dynamics was something that nature took me through, or nurture rather took me through. And so I learned a lot of like the, I guess you could say, theories of game just by living life. I didn't know them, like I didn't read them in a book. I read the game like not that long ago, maybe like a few years ago, well after like pickup artists and those kind of things. I was aware of them, and like knew of like negging, what the terms were and whatnot. And so for me, it was just social magnetism, like we spoke to earlier. It wasn't like game was not what I was looking at. I was like, how can I be more magnetizing in my life? How can I like quickly adapt to a situation and be likable? You know, so people want to spend time with me, and women are very much involved in that. And so I'll say that my belief is most of my life it has been used for good. Like I didn't have this like manipulative, dark thing coming into it. And there were certainly times where I look back, and especially in the context of one, I'm like, you know what, like there is at least some shadow to that didn't feel really good. Like I was not authentic, and I was purposely not being, so that I could hopefully pick up on the girl. And the irony in that is, if I look back on the situations, I'm like, you know, if I had been more authentic, I probably would have gotten what I wanted, whatever that was, a date to hook up or sleep with that woman, and I would have felt better about it, and they would have felt better about it, and it would have like a win-win. And that's the thing. It's not like either or. I can only get this if I do this. Like actually, I can get more and we can all get more if I like come from that true authentic space. And a more specific example I'll give is I remember I was on a date. This is I think when we were living together in Mystic Manor actually, or in the Rojo 2.0 in LA. And I was out on a date in Playa Vista, and this girl was like somebody I knew from college, and I always thought she was like super cute and had like a bit of a crush on her, but you know, I was dating someone else, and also kind of thought, oh, maybe she's like a little bit out of my league, kind of that vibe, like. And went on this date with her, and I remember, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes into it, I was like, you know what? Something I kind of don't want you to know about me right now, but I'm just going to share to sort of break the ice is I'm experiencing a lot of big sensations in my body, and I would label them as like nervousness. Like I'm a little short of breath. I feel like I'm high up in my chest a bit as I'm talking, and like I really want to impress you. And you could just see her. I could see her fucking melt. Yeah. And
which is having the opposite effect, by the way, of what your fear would say.
Exactly.
If you say this, you're fucked.
Yeah. Oh, then she's gonna think that you're not confident or any of those kind of things. And it sets such an amazing container for connection. And yeah, we had like a beautiful date and went on a few dates and had a great connection. And she, my belief is, and I think that she would attest to this, that even though like it didn't go beyond that, like it was like she left that feeling like more inspired, more like connected, not taken advantage of, but actually like, again, win-win. Yeah.
Well said. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, there are so many men, I'm sure, that can relate to this, and you know, where do you fall on this line between, yes, getting your needs met, following instinct, like not making it contrived when you're wanting to connect with a partner sexually, emotionally, and wow, there's a whole world of big energy. You know, we might even call it BDE, which will let you go to Urban Dictionary if you want to learn what BDE is.
Spoiler alert, it's big dick energy.
Set you up for that one. But yeah, I mean, fuck. What was I going to say? Like, basically, the leader is the one willing to say the most uncomfortable thing in any given situation.
Ooh, that's
I believe primarily the man is the leader in the dating game, right? Although it's nice to have it reversed intentionally, but let's just be real. Traditionally, that's how it is. I'm not a traditional man, but I do follow trends and understand, like, this is a thing.
Norms are a thing for a reason, stereotypes.
Totally. And also, if you're not identifying with the traditional gender roles, you know, invitation to situate yourself in this instead of making me say it a different way. So I have to say that in every video because inevitably one person, if not 10, comments or messages me. So,
you non-inclusive fucking asshole.
Yeah, that culture is postmodernistic tripe. I said it. Anyway,
I want you to refer to me as Z the rest of this conversation.
Fuck, dude. This is so...
I don't identify with the gender pronoun of he.
Well, Jordan, I'm actually a dragon sexual, so I'm offended you would think I even like women.
Fair enough.
I'm into dragons. Dragon women. But yeah, so game dynamics are a way to, I'll just say it, separate the head from the heart. Because your heart in that moment was like, you know, there's a lot of energy. What if I just say it? Which we've learned in a lot of retreats and contexts. Is really uncomfortable temporarily, but actually unlocks a massive flow because it's like, fuck, it's actually being like real. It's like, this is what I'm feeling right now, and it's kind of vulnerable. Like, I actually don't want to tell you this. And if they're vibing, they'll be like, wow, he's doing something that's vulnerable and something he didn't want to do, instead of, you know, could disconnect the head from the heart, which is, fuck, I don't even like this girl, or I'm self-conscious or nervous, but let me go in with the classic opener and take notes, gentlemen.
Yep.
Cocky funny. Cocky funny is the top strategy for any kind of male to become an alpha male, which is cocky funny. You're confident, you're joking, everything's kind of just like you're commanding the conversation.
Totally.
And same as you, like growing up as a chameleon, I'll share like, yeah, when I read about pickup artists on Reddit, I found out about it like in college, I think. I remember reading through it and I was like, oh, this is all shit I learned how to do automatically.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just kind of how you would act if you wanted to receive, and I certainly did, I'm sure you can relate, validation, be in the in group, and have girls pay attention to you. It's just like, that's what it's designed by. But how is it being used is the question.
Yeah. And what's fun about this concept of anti-game is the best game is because it's still a game, right? Like what I just said, like I went into that believing that I'm playing a game by saying this. Doesn't mean it's any less fucking real.
Right.
But it's like, this is the game I want to play. This game feels good. It's more fun. Again, everybody wins. But I'm still like, yeah, I'm playing a game, and I'm knowing that I'm doing that for our ultimate connection and for ultimately getting what I want. Which in that situation was like, I wanted to have a really awesome time with this woman. Yeah, and maybe even hook up with her that night. And I did. It was great. But it wasn't like I wasn't doing it by way of like trying to trick her or to like be fake or any of those kind of things to get to that end goal. I was like, I'm going to do this in a way that's conscious AF, and if it doesn't get that end goal, cool, because I feel good about the process. It wasn't about the outcome end result classic. The journey is the outcome kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Fall in love with the process. Well, and like what's funny is like, well, I'm hearing a lecture. I think it was a Jordan Peterson. Again, I've probably binged everything Jordan Peterson has uploaded on YouTube at one point or another. At this point, I come back into his videos and like rewatch them, and having forgotten because there's so many. But yeah, if you guys don't know who Jordan Peterson is, invitation to get on that.
It's incredible.
I think he's back from rehab. He's back in the saddle. It's really good. He's got an online course too. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later. But yeah, in like the 18th century, this was game, right? You go to, if you're a lord or a lady, in the 18th century, it's
I want to hear your best impression. Come on.
It's like, well, darling, it's just been a wonderful evening with you. I hope you're enjoying your aperitif. Would you like to come upstairs and see my drawing room or see my paintings? That was the common phrase. Would you like to see my paintings in the drawing room upstairs? That phrase was understood by all of the European elite to mean I want to sleep with you.
Interesting.
But that was the code, right? And you know, I'm trying to think of the other. He's a Harvard professor, psychology of language. It's slipping my mind, but he basically saying like, no matter what we're doing, and especially with money and sex, so transactions, we don't say what we want. We beat around the bush with language because it's this taboo energy game of, you know, I for sure, if you're on a date, you know, say you're on a date right now, man or woman, you for sure want to physically connect with this person, you know, whatever that looks like. Maybe you want to go all the way. Maybe you just want the kiss and you want the date. You know that going in, but you don't say it. In fact, you say everything but that in the traditional setting.
How funny.
Because you're just like, oh yeah, it's really great. It's like, oh, do you want to come up to my apartment, have a little tea? It's like, you know, the code word is like, oh, you know, I'm in. It's like, that's how crazy language is. And so anti-game is actually acknowledging all of that and then saying, like, this has been a, you know, I'll be vulnerable here in past, when I was a single buck, I would use that all the time. Like, when you would get to a certain point, I'd play game A, classic game A, just like, okay. And then at some point, the energy's there. There's a lot of presence. There's a lot of, like, I could just feel it in my body. I can tell she's feeling something. I'd switch to game B. And instead of being like, you want to go for a walk? I just say directly, like, I really want to kiss you right now. I really want to do this. And then, you know, there'd be the moment of, like, this is like short circuit, anti-game. He's not computing. And then it just, like, it gives way to massive energy.
I love that you're sort of going to the next layer of this. Because, like, oh, yeah, okay, say the date went well and you're authentic, but you're still playing the game and you're a little more subtle, right? I think that's fun. Like, yeah, let's ease into it. Let's lube it up before we just jam her on in, right?
Classic.
I swear I'm not always like this, except I am.
Yes.
And then the next layer is, okay, switching to game B, right? I love that you said, I really want to kiss you right now. I use that exact same thing. Instead of this, like, sort of maybe awkward, oh, I'm going to try, and then she turns away. It's like, that's the worst nightmare, right? It's like, why don't you just not leave it up to chance? And make consent sexy, because that is consent, right? Saying, I really want to kiss you right now. It's saying your intentions, and it's a question, right? Implicitly with saying that, because you're not just doing it. And it's a little sexier and say, hey, can I kiss you right now? You know, because that's like soft. That doesn't feel masculine. That doesn't feel like penetrative.
Doesn't have
power behind it. No BDE behind it whatsoever. No. But like, fuck, I really want to kiss you right now. Like, I've done that many times, and it's like such a connective, beautiful thing. And I've even taken it a step further and been like, wow, like, I really want to sleep with you. You know? And like...
Pull out the old trump card.
Right? And here's the thing, too. Like... It's great to be bold. I think for most men, you probably want to swing on the other end of this pendulum to what we're talking about, right? But know that you might get some turn downs, right? And this is a practice of, I call it like rejection therapy. There's this amazing TED Talk, Jiang Ju or something like that did it, and he did 100 days of intense rejection. Are you familiar with this? Yeah. Where he was asking for the most ridiculous things, and he got a lot of them. He didn't get most of them, right? Because they're so absurd. But some of the ones that he got, you're like, what? Like one was that he went to a Krispy Kreme and asked them to make him a donut that was like the Olympic symbol. So there's like interlinked chains, and they did it custom for him, right? And what he did is he just made himself like impervious to the fear of rejection by doing that. And I think a lot of men could be well served in asking for what they want, not being attached to getting it, getting over rejection. And this context of the game and dating and anti-game is the best game. What a great like sort of high risk, high reward container to do so.
Yeah, I mean, my beautiful partner right now, Nadine, bless that we didn't have to do all this. Yeah. Like we were both direct from the beginning, and like the energy was just like, and it continues to be so. But I'm looking back at all the times that, I got straight iced because
friend zoned too, or
because
you're.
Well, the worst is when you've played game A to a certain point. And by the way, those of you that don't know game A and game B, I forget again. Man, I'm whiffing right now. I'm like 0 for 3 on name drops.
Tomasi or something like that, or
no. This is more like information theory. So this is like Buckminster Fuller, Marshall McLuhan. So I'm a geek on y'all. 1950s type shit. This is like signal theory. And so game A is like, it's a rivalrous game. So, if I go to a bar and I pick up X chick, you lose because only one of us can be with that girl.
Gotcha.
Whereas game B, like we've been saying, is like, there's so much honesty flowing and authenticity that like choices can be made outside of the game A structure. That still might mean, we're both not going to be with the same girl, but like in game B, I might be so open with that girl, we actually like really connect, and then like wing you into another girl, and everybody wins, or something like that. Yeah. So what's funny is like I got hard rejected in LA, mainly when we were living in LA, so many times because I was proing game A, and then I'd feel the energy, pop into game B, and just start speaking my mind. And like some of these girls just like complete shutdown. They turn cold and be like, oh, like because they like wasn't meeting an expectation, or some of them just didn't know what to do with it. And then like they started to be honest, and it's like they'd never done it. Yeah. So it was like the first time they could reject a man. Like later in time, after the soreness kind of went down, because I was on a killing spree back then. Fuck.
Can we have a moment of silence for the casualties in that killing spree?
I mean, it was like it was really a growth experience because I got to feel like, wow, I'm not used to that. It's like because I hadn't been asking for shit, so I hadn't been getting rejected,
right?
And it had inadvertently given this person, who some I remain friends with for sure, the first opportunity. And they like, I remember one person in particular, I won't name, but they came back around and we had a conversation. They're like, that was one of the most radical things, like, and it was classic game B, anti-game.
I love that, man. And it's, geez, what a better scenario to find yourself in, of like not wondering what if, right? It's like, I can remember so many times in my life, certainly in the context of like dating, and also otherwise, where it's like, man, what if I would have done that? Shit, I might have been rejected, I might not get it, and it would have been like a temporary hurt, but the long-term gain of that is just so much better. And like you and I have like dedicated our lives to doing that in higher and higher levels. And again, the context of dating and women is like the best container to really practice that, and to like rewrite culture and the norms in that setting, which is like so important, to like get rid of all this like unconscious manipulative bullshit and inject some like real truth and the toxic masculinity and all that kind of shit. It's like, all right, well, let's rewrite that in very like real practical terms. Yeah,
which you're leading me right to my next point here. For those listening, what would be some of, like, let's just pick top 3. Good old triple play. Come on. What's the top 3 like anti-game rules, axioms? Let's start writing your next book right now. What are they for the men?
Top 3 anti-games. We definitely, let me see if I can extract the nuggets from our conversation.
I mean, we've alluded to a lot of them, but I'm challenging you to really codify them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the same in my head.
I'm trying not to be too abstract. I'm like trying to make it somewhat specific because like lead with authenticity came up, ask for what you want, but those are some kind of high level abstract themes. I think having scripts is actually a good thing, but what script is most aligned and authentic, right? And so that's why I said something I don't want you to know about me is this. For women, in the context, and this is life again, but in the context of dating, it's like, what a breath of fresh air for a woman who's probably also feeling she's feeling her own insecurities on some level and like apprehensiveness and all kinds of feels. So what a way to like open up the space for a breath of fresh air, just like I can settle. I fucking trust this guy. I can like sit here and whether he wants to sleep with me or not, if we just want to like make it that extreme, I feel like I can trust him. So like if it does get to that point, I feel comfortable, held, and safe in that container. And so I would say, having a script like that, instead of, the negging or like pickup artist scripts, they like are just kind of bullshit. Something I don't want you to know about me.
What are some other top scripts? That one's a excellent.
Yeah. Again, at a high level, having some sort of like notable container. And we do this in our retreats and our coaching and stuff like that. We even did to start this. The container was set by us pulling a card, more or less, right? Fucking take some of these cards to a date or some. Don't do that, actually. Maybe if you really got skills. If you got don't go on your first date that way. Wouldn't recommend it.
Hi there. I took the liberty of pouring you some wine. And would you like to draw a card? It's it might work for the right one. For the right person, it would work.
Yeah. Well, and the counterbalance, if you want to follow the same sort of script and energy of something I don't want you to know about me is X. If you knew me really well, you know why. And like present that as a thing. Hey, I got a fun little activity like for us to kind of just like break through some of this like energy that I'm experiencing that maybe you are too. It goes a little something like this. Something I don't want you to know about me is X. If you really know why. So it's like you get to lead with that vulnerability and kind of like, this is an edge, this is a bit scary. And also get to be braggadocious. Like I am fucking world class at this.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's a great script. So I guess that's number one. Number two, it's just going to be high level. It's going to be boldness. Like being courageous. Again, when I think of the times where I'm left wondering what if I would have tried to kiss that girl, right? Like instead of because I've been friend zoned in the past, and probably every man has, right? And it doesn't feel good. You know what feels better is if I go for it and she says, I'm not interested in you in that way, like, right, maybe you're not officially dating, but you're like exploring the interest in that, and you make your intentions known, and she says, I'm actually not interested in that way. God, it feels so much better than like prolonging the inevitable and then still just wondering what if. And like many situations in the beginning, had you had those intentions be like really well known, like that would have set the context for the whole relationship instead of prolonging it. And then he feels more like a friend, and we've seen that with many people. So boldness, leading with the boldness. What's a third? A third? Okay, this is a good one. I'm gonna get biblical on you, and this is a life one, but they all
Deuteronomy chapter 11,
right? I think this is the James or some shit. My dad used to say this to me all the time, and you've heard me say it. Be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. I think is how it goes, but I interpret that slow to be hijacked by your emotions. And this is again all context, but in particular in like a dating scenario, is be like really present and quick to like hear what's being said and what isn't being said. And then slow to react, like, right? To manically respond, let your nervousness or emotions or whatever respond to whatever it is. My experience has been women can sense that. When you are like deeply present, and so there's actually like a pause. And actually now what's coming up, I'm going to switch from this for a second.
Come on.
Eye gazing. I have done eye gazing on a first date. You're like, hey, you want to do a little like fun, comfortable activity here? We're all about the activities, right? It's like, you want to just like, let's look at each other for 60 seconds. I'll time it on my phone. So we have like a container. And containers, they're so hot right now.
It's all about containers.
I've probably dropped that word a dozen times already on this podcast.
I just want you to say it 10 more times.
A baker's dozen, Bob. 60 seconds, and we'll just look at each other in the eyes. And stoic, don't have to have any kind of like emotions or response. Just like, let's just see each other and do that. Wow, it's beautiful. And here's what I would say: acting from that polarizing place that's a little bit maybe weird, and they've never experienced it. If they're just like no, it's like, okay, well, fuck you then. I'm probably not interested in you at all. Like, this is probably just not a good fit. Great, let's move through this quickly. And if she does, like, it's gonna be potentially a great thing.
Yeah. Wow. There you go. JMO's 3 axioms of anti-game.
There might have been 6 or 7 in there, and they're very convoluted, but I trust you're taking notes.
There's a lot there. So yeah, I'm sure you can relate on a date if you've seen how, just having moves. That's why scripts and these guys love this shit, is because you have moves. Because a lot of us, it's like you go blank or just like, oh. And the other thing is, like, you know, in our culture, most people aren't comfortable with silence. Like, they like to fill it quickly. And so the eye gazing is a huge thing. I've definitely used that. Really being nonverbal in general is a game changer.
Yeah.
If you can go nonverbal early on, before just the, well, who are you? What do you do? What do you like? Da, 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 da. You know, that stuff's great. You got to do that too. But that's what I really was focusing on when you were sharing that. Is like the nonverbal eye gazing, felt presence, and then again, some of this stuff is like, you know, if you're in backwater Minnesota and you go to the honky tonk, you know, this may not work first try. You're gonna have to customize a lot of this stuff. But I think, you know, and I think with the women listening to this, the feminine, like, this is what I imagine a lot of you are desiring, to play along with that type of energy. And yeah, it's not hard to find. The story that it is hard to find is a story. So I think for both sides here, if you will, there's been a lot of nuggets here.
Lots of good nuggets, some juicy ones.
Yeah, so let's go to you, bro. Like, what are you working on right now? What are you creating? Tell us about 2020 for JMO.
Yeah, 2020 with the 2020 vision. I think I'm the only person that's ever said that. I'm the first person. You heard it here. Trademark, patent, not pending. Man, what I am manifesting in this year, I just started a group program called Manifestation, capital MAN. 8 of us: righteous accountability, health, wealth, relationships, dating, confidence, boldness, asking for what you want, rejection therapy, a lot of those things I was talking about, and just a righteous container for us to be accountable buddies for one another. So I'm going to be doing that on at least a quarterly basis. This was so easy and fun to do that's like, there's no reason I wouldn't continue to do it. Doing an e-course about social magnetism.